Hello everyone, I am Karen Perales and I am here to share to you my LAT reviewer or my licensure examination for teachers reviewer in general education. So now let me start my discussion. So question number 1 is, watching TV is controlled by parents. Children below 18 are discouraged to view this type of film. Again, watching TV is controlled by parents. Children below 18 are discouraged to view this type of film. So letter A, discovery and science. B, violence and sex. C, historical battles and bloodshed. D, adolescent stories. So, the answer for number 1 is letter B, violence and sex. So why is violence and sex is prohibited or discouraged for the minors to watch? So we all know that sex is not for children and violence has a lifelong consequences. Toxic stress associated with repeated exposure to violence in early childhood can interfere with healthy brain development and can lead to aggressive and antisocial behaviors, substance abuse, risky sexual behavior, and criminal activity. So, we can say that it is really important to discourage minors to view films with violence and sex. So, let's proceed to number 2. If our present government is in democracy, where does power reside? Again, if our present government is in democracy, where does power reside? Letter A, in the Filipino people. B, in Congress. C, the President. D, in the Supreme Court. So the answer for number 2 is letter A, in the Filipino people. So why do I say so? Now, democracy is from the Greek word demos, which means people, and kratos, which means rule, a form of government in which the people have the authority to deliberate and decide legislation, or direct democracy, or to choose governing official to do so, or representative democracy. And our country, which is the Philippines, is an example of democracy. Now let's proceed to number 3. What is the standard deviation? So among the choices, what is the standard deviation? Letter A, 42.8. Letter B, 31.87. C, 5.65. D, 4.22. The answer for number 3 is letter C, which is 5.65. What is a standard deviation? Okay, a standard deviation is a measure of amount of variation or dispersion of a set of values. There are two types of standard deviation, the high and the low. So a low standard deviation indicates that the values tend to be close to the mean of the set, while a high standard indicates that the values are spread out over a wider range. So that is standard deviation. Now, number 4. Which of the given fraction is equal to 12 over 84? Which of the following fraction is equal to 12 over 84? So letter A, 7 over 42. Letter B, 1 over 8. C, 6 over 42. Or letter D, 1 over 7. So the answer for number 4 is letter D, 1/7. In this question, I just simply divide 2 and 48 to 12. So 12 divided by 12 is 1, and 12 divided by 48 is 7. So my answer is letter D, which is 1.7. Now let's proceed to number 5. Before I proceed to number 5, allow me to discuss it in Tagalog, for we are answering a Filipino subject. Kaya, ang panglima, ano ang tawag sa mga tanong na tulad ng sumusunod? Ang bahay ay paligid ng espada. Ano ito? Ano ang tawag sa mga tanong na tulad ng sumusunod? Ang bahay ay paligid ng espada. Ano ito? A. Bugtong. B. Salaysay. C. Tula. D. Dekrito. So, ang sagot sa tanong na ito ay bugtong. So, ano nga ba ang salitang bugtong? Ang bugtong, pahulaan o patuturan or riddles in English ay isang pangungusap o tanong na may doble o nakatagong kahulugan na nilulutas bilang isang palaisipan. Ito ay isa sa mga libangan ng mga bata kahit matatanda mula noon hanggang ngayon. Pang-anim, ang saging kailanman ay di magbubunga ng santol. Ang salawikain ay nagpapahiwatig na ang saging ay kailanman ay di magbubunga ng santol. Ang salawikain ay nagpapahiwatig na A. Maaaring magbunga ng bayabas ang isang punong santol. B. Walang pagbabago ang anuman. C. Ang bunga ng isang kahoy ay galing sa sariling lahi. Or letter D. Walang bungang di galing sa sariling puno. At ang sagot sa tanong na ito ay letter D. Walang bungang di galing sa sariling puno. So, ano nga ba ang salitang salawikain? Ang salawikain ay mga pangungusap na maiiksi lamang ngunit punong-puno ng kahulugan. May layunin din itong magbigay patnubay sa ating pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. Sumailalim din ito sa kultura at tradisyon ng Pilipino. At yan ang kahulugan ng salawikain. Ngayon, balik tayo sa wikang Ingles. So, number 7. Aspirin has been known to rupture the blood clotting, thus me to use aspirin too. Again, aspirin has been known to rupture the blood clotting process, thus me to use aspirin to letter A. Relieve pain. B. Reduce the possibility of stroke. C. Act as stimulant. D. Stop bleeding. So the answer is letter B. Reduce the possibility of stroke. So how does aspirin reduce the possibility of stroke? Aspirin slows the blood's clotting action by reducing the clumping of platelets. Platelets are cells that clump together and help to form blood clots. So aspirin keeps platelets from clumping together, thus helping to prevent or reduce blood clots. So that is the use of aspirin. Now, number 8. The weather bureau gave this warning during thunderstorm. Which comes first? The weather bureau gave this warning during thunderstorm. Which comes first? Letter A. Lightning flashes first. Letter B. Lightning and thunder are simultaneous. Letter C. Thunder sounds spread fast. D. Thunder follows all lightnings. So the answer for number 8 is letter A. Lightning flashes first. So what are we going to do to stay safe during thunderstorm? and lightning. So I will give you some safety tips. First, when thunder roars, go indoors. Move from outdoors into a building or car with a roof. Number 2, pay attention to alerts and warnings. 3, avoid using electronic devices connected to an electrical outlet. 4, avoid running water. 5, turn around. Don't drown. Do not drive through flooded roadways. Now let's proceed to number 9. Your findings are impertinent to the results of this investigation. Again, your findings are impertinent to the result of this investigation. So what does impertinent mean? Letter A, malicious. Letter B, violent. Letter C, irrelevant. Letter D, important. So the answer for number 9 is letter C, irrelevant. So what does impertinent means? So impertinent means not showing respect or rude, not pertinent to a particular matter, or irrelevant. So that is the meaning of impertinent. So our last number will be, the Bible tells us there is a right time and a right way to do everything. Again, the Bible tells us there is a right time and a right way to do everything. So what does it mean? Letter A, you can determine your own time. Letter B, your time is yours and nobody else. Letter C, say and do things on time. Letter D, plan well at what you say and what you do. So the answer for number 10 is letter D, plan well what you say and do. So why is it important to plan, or what is important of planning? So in particular, planning helps to critically assess the goal to see if it's realistic. It gives you control. It keeps you from spending time on tasks that won't bring you closer to your goal. In short, it helps you to set the right goals. So we study hard and achieve everything in God's will. So before I end my discussion, I want to leave you a quotation as a future educator. So education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. So that would be all. Thank you, and I hope you learned something from my discussion. This is Karen Perales signing off. God bless us all.